You're tuning into Ready, Set, Reset, where our goal is to help listeners reset their outlook by providing a closer look into behavioral and mental health in our youth. We visit with a range of professionals across the field to get their input and insight on what's really going on. Our first series kicks off with the Student Mental Health Chronicles, which features school counselors from across Texas, from public to private. This podcast is for educational and motivational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional training or personal therapy. Hello, and welcome to the Ready, Set, Reset podcast. I'm your host, Sierra O'Neill, licensed professional counselor and founder of a Reset IOP. With me is my co-host, Mrs. Penny Haight, licensed professional counselor, supervisor, and owner of Counseling by Penny and Associates.
Hi, I'm Penny, and I'm also a former school counselor of 9 years. You are turning in to an episode of our inspiring podcast that spotlights school counselors and the incredible work they do day in and day out with students. The content you will hear on this podcast is focused on the struggles in schools related to the mental health of youth. We'll be providing weekly insights, resources, and solutions to address the growing and ongoing issues that will support other school counselors, parents, teachers, and students.
All right, so our guest today is school counselor Miss Tamika, here with us today from Judson ISD. Welcome, Miss Tamika. How are you feeling today?
Awesome. I'm feeling great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure. So before we jump into things today, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your experience as a school counselor?
Yeah, so I've been in the field for about 15 years. I started out in higher education and then just really noticed working with high schoolers or first-time college students that the need was there to transition to the school system. And so just being able to be in there and to advocate and to teach students strategies for success and ways to prepare themselves for higher ed or the next level that they would like to pursue.
Well, what is like some of the issues that you were seeing that really inspired you to say, I need to get down a little lower level so that I can address what issues?
Yeah, so some of the things were I worked closely with students who were on academic dismissal. And so being prepared, just having those time management skills, being able to transition from high school to college. So really helping them understand that there's a huge difference between high school and college and just the independence, that autonomy, teaching them those types of things.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and jump into things a little bit further here. So what would you say your biggest struggle is in school when it comes to supporting students?
One of the biggest struggles, I would say, is some of it is just the resources in our community that are available. I mean, our district does a good job, especially in regards to being able to support students and their families with just different, whether it be school supplies or trying to arrange transportation.
Okay.
Also with mental health services. And so, but just getting that across the board, I would say, is one of the just struggles.
Okay. So when you are able to connect students to resources that you guys do have, what's the response like, as far as from the students, their willingness to, engage further, maybe outside of school or just, maybe additional things that are offered within the school?
Mm-hmm. Students are very receptive because a lot of times it's, that cry for help, they're reaching out for someone to just help them or to listen. And so being able to hold that space and be that bridge, if you will, for them.
Yeah.
So like I said, students are very receptive, to the support that's out there.
Awesome. And by chance, as because you're in high school, correct?
Elementary. Now, I'm actually now in elementary.
Oh, now in elementary.
Yeah.
So I guess for the elementary schoolers, do you see a higher response and maybe within like the age groups, like maybe more from the fifth graders or the higher?
Yeah, for sure. Because definitely the older group of kiddos, able to, kind of more verbalize or understand or really say, I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling sad. And I think, maybe I do need to, I know I have you to talk to, but maybe I do need to talk with you or talk with my parents about getting that extra support.
Awesome. Okay. So when it comes to working with your team, within the school, what are the biggest struggles with the teachers or the other staff members, admin staff that interact with the students?
Yeah, so I think it's just us just working together to identify those different behaviors that students have and just being able to really come on board and work together we do a good job with trying to support them, but, engaging and involving the parents and the community and getting those extra supports and resources that the families need.
Can you share some of the things that you've done to collaborate with teachers and parents to get that message across?
Yeah, so whether it be having a meeting, having a staffing, again, providing those resources, those community resources that we have available in our community, or just tapping into like our district. We have wonderful district support that's able to come out and, to help us as well. Even teaching and working with the teachers in regards to, strategies for success. So these, mindfulness or peace corners, calm down, area for the kiddos, and just being an advocate. An advocate.
So are your teachers pretty responsive when you bring up a strategy or a technique?
Oh, yeah.
And I know that so many teachers, they're really protective of the class time because there's so much pressure with testing and all. Can you share with how you manage that and get into the classrooms to do?
Yeah. So, we're very fortunate and blessed that our teachers, they understand the importance of social emotional. And if the student is having trouble or they're needing help regulating, they're really on board with whatever we can do, to best support the student. And so, like I said, our teachers are very accommodating and willing to whatever we can do to help the student be successful in the classroom, because that's where the learning takes place.
For sure. Well, that's awesome. And if you don't mind me asking, how many school counselors are at your campus?
Yeah, so we actually have 2 there at our campus.
So yourself plus another
person.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to looking at mental health further, in the schools, what are some key indicators or maybe warning signs that school counselors should be aware of when it comes to students, kind of especially maybe, post-COVID, some things that are a little bit, uncommon that, we would see, but something definitely to look out for?
Yeah. So some of the things that I've noticed is like grades, their grades are declining or there's missing grades, just different patterns in that, and definitely like the attendance. There's a pattern of attendance issues. So checking in and looking at that. And then just the student just may not be as engaged as they were. There's some withdrawal that's been happening. Maybe they're coming to school, but their behavior, there's been some withdrawal that they're having.
I like that you said not just only looking at grades, but looking at like missing work. Like what's at the root of that? Is there a motivation issues? Because sometimes, we're looking for, maybe it's a big thing that's going on at home, but maybe it's a small thing that is, and it's not, I don't want to say motivation, lack of motivation is small, but it is something that happens across all grade levels, is dealing with how do we motivate this child? And we know that some teachers are like, connect with a certain kid and can motivate them, and then they move into the next grade, and then wait a minute, it's not happening anymore. So how do you deal with that, like helping teachers to understand grade level below was able to do this and sharing?
Yeah. So pretty much just working with that other teacher to see what worked, what worked or what didn't work with that student, and then trying to have the teacher implement those, but also just working with the teacher and student to, hey, maybe we just need to have a quick little meeting and see, let's get on the same page. What can we do to build that relationship? What can we do to, help further those successes for the kiddos? So just collaborating, as a team and having the teacher and the student work together and just to see what can we do. Maybe it's, and then have them work together just even on non-academic things, just getting to know each other non-academically, besides from the math and all that, like really for this teacher and student to connect and to build a relationship with each other outside of the general classroom.
Right. Okay. And then when you speak of connection, with the kids, do you feel like you do pretty well with building rapport with kids, or do you have any tips for, teachers or other school counselors to connect and build rapport?
Yeah, so I think I do a good job. I really just try to meet the student where they are at, just seizing any opportunity to get to connect with the kiddo, whether it be at the front door, greeting them, at the school bus, in the cafeteria, even in their moment of a behavior, right? Just really addressing and getting to the root of building that trust and that rapport with them.
Can you say more about, like you mentioned in that moment when they're having, the behavior that is not appropriate or, not for school? Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that's an issue that so many schools are having across districts, is behaviors that are harder to manage. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so really it's just, I think that all behavior is a form of communication. So really, what is it that the student is trying to communicate? What need is it what are they needing?
Right.
What is it? What happened? What was the trigger? What can I do? What can I help to? And then also letting them know, and that goes with building the rapport that, I'm a safe person. This is a safe space. You're able to, we're here to help you. I'm here to help you use your voice to communicate what it is that you need. And so just really, I think that, just comes with the rapport building from the start, and letting them know that it's okay. We all have our days, right? We have our moments.
Right.
We're human.
Right.
And so we can work through that. You have a lot of people who love and care about you, and we'll work through that to get you the support that you need.
Right. And, as we're talking about, interacting with students, or kids in general, like in the moment with their behaviors, sometimes it takes for the adult or the staff member to just kind of back off a little bit. You see some kids, and I see some, staff members, engaging with kids when they're going, having a meltdown or having some issues, and they're constantly trying to talk to them. And it takes a moment to kind of realize they're not responding to this. And so I find myself, with some kids that are elevated like that, having to tell them, hey, I see what's going on right now. I see you're upset. Identify the feelings. And when you're ready, I'll be right here. Allow them to sit in those emotions. Know that they have that safe place and that safe space to go through whatever they're going through right now. But when you finish, I will be here, and then we can talk about it. No one's upset with you. You're not in any trouble, but obviously something's going on. And like you said, that behavior is trying to communicate something. And of course, in this moment, you don't have the headspace to do that. So, it's best if we both kind of take this break, and they can learn to be able to do that. And then eventually, I've seen a lot of kids to say, hey, Miss Sierra, I need 5 minutes before we talk about anything. Yeah. And it's like, then they can be able to really work through it. And I've seen it be successful when I can, see that within our program, and then communicate it with the parents.
Yeah.
Now for the parents, it's a lot more difficult, because they're like, no, when I want to address this, we're going to talk about it right now. And I'm like, I get it, Mom. But at the same time too, how successful have you been with that approach? So if we try something different and just let the kid know, hey, I hear you, and I will give you that time and that space, but we will come back to address this, then the outcome can be a lot different. So
Right.
I think if you think about, like Gottman talks about being flooded, if we can teach parents and teachers that, like when a student is flooded, that they can't hear the message. You're not going to reason in that moment when the amygdala is firing off and the sympathetic nervous system is up. That there has to be a moment where they can either calm themselves, or there's some calming activity that is suggested to take place.
Yeah. And we do have in our classrooms, we have peace corners or calming corners.
Okay.
And so we the district has been very fortunate to be able to provide those to our campuses. And so we teach that too for our kiddos and for the teachers, that, hey, if the student has needs to go, or they express, advocate that I need, the 5 minutes or whatnot to go to the calm down corner or the peace corner, that's something that they can do to help to regulate. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's awesome. We do that in our IOP program up until our kids are about 10, kind of around that age, to be able to have that safe way. I guess what age or grade does that stop for you?
Yeah. So it's like 5th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all the way up to 5th
The
grade.
middle schoolers have a different program, and then the high school. But yeah, each I guess, grade level or school has something implemented for to be able to provide students that space.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just one more question, kind of on tail ending on that. What is typically in that calm down corner? Like, what are some, what's the scene like?
Yeah. So we have like a carpet, but the carpet is kind of guided. So it'll either be like a hand or like an infinity that has like the breathing techniques on it. We have something on the wall, so then help with grounding. A visual. We have like the timer, so then they can flip that, so they know they have the 5 minutes to be in there, and just different fidgeters, books, things like that they a bean bag, might have bubbles, things like that they need.
Nice. Okay.
If any of our listeners are wanting to learn more about mindfulness, a great resource is John Gottman.
Okay.
He is like the guru of mindfulness. And he is in a lot of magazines feature him in articles that are really quick reads. If parents or other school counselors want more information, it's a great resource.
It's great.
Well, all right, Miss Tamika, I feel like we've had a great conversation today. It was a pleasure to sit down with you and, learn a little bit more about what you deal with day in and day out as an elementary school counselor in Judson ISD. So before we close, if you had one thing to leave with our listeners, what would that be?
Yeah, I would say just for counselors, the self-care is so important. Take that time.
Absolutely.
Whatever that may look like, and just take time out to make sure to take care of yourself. And remember the small wins, right? Have those big wins every day, but remember the small wins and the small victories.
Of course, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you again. That's all for us today. Thanks for tuning in and taking time out of your day to listen in on mental health. And remember, sometimes all it takes is resetting your outlook. All right, that's it. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ready, Set, Reset 1. Follow us on Instagram at ready_set_reset1 for mental health tips, laughs, and motivation. And if you know a student or have a child in the Fort Worth area that could use some additional support, visit our website at sunflowersigma.com to see if Reset IOP is right for them. You will find the resources discussed in today's podcast in the description area.